Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we have returned to the main feed for a show because last night was the Super Bowl. And during the Super Bowl, there are a lot of commercials, there are a lot of teasers. You saw some apes running around. You saw some interesting things all over the place when it comes to pop culture, music, and things like that. But the reason that we are here is to discuss the teaser for Deadpool and Wolverine, not Deadpool and Friend, unfortunately. And my partner in crime, the super producer Jake Christie, is here. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. As you alluded to, I am a little disappointed it's not Deadpool and Friend. I was hoping for that. But yeah, I'm excited we finally got a trailer. And it's what was exciting too is to see people excited for Marvel again. Now, I wish that some of that excitement could have come for the very enjoyable movie that came out in November, but I'll let bygones be bygones.
Yes, yes, yes. But you know something that I'm not disappointed in? I'm not disappointed in patreon.com/MC University Pod, where you could get our bonus content. And a part of that bonus content is something that we did over the weekend. We had a table read of Captain America Civil War, where we brought our friends together, friends past, present, to do the table read of that movie. It was a grand time, over 3 hours of laughs and interesting and funny moments all over the
Yes.
place. If you ever want to check that out, that's a good reason to
Yep.
subscribe. Another good reason to subscribe is the Discord, which is
hmm
$3. You get in there, have some fun chats with us. There's a lot of things going on outside the MCU that we're
hmm
having fun
A
talking about.
very active wrestling forum. And I know
Yes,
it's
there's a
active because every time it lights up, I hit mark as read. The winning lottery numbers could be in that thread, and I would never see them.
and yes, there's a lot going on in wrestling these days. I may revisit that at some point in the near future. But also another reason to subscribe to the Patreon. We
Bum, bum,
are
bum, bum,
starting.
bum, 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 bum,
Yes,
bum, 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 bum.
Sorry.
there you go. That music right there. Mission Impossible. We are continuing our reviews of the film franchise led by Tom Cruise. We did the first one a really long time ago at the outset of the Patreon. We are continuing. We do allegedly have a special guest, but
Mm-hmm.
that will be behind the paywall. So you got to subscribe if you want to listen to us break down Mission Impossible 2
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. And of
Yeah.
course, the subscriber mailbag
Mm-hmm.
that we also have coming out later this month.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, just wanted to quickly promote the fact that also coming up, I think early next week, me and a guest to be named later are going to be doing a pod on the film Madam Web, which I'm seeing
Madame.
on Wednesday. The perks of being alone on Valentine's Day, but it's going to be structured again like what we did previously with Morbius, where we're going to give a review of the film, but on Twitter, and you can just send them in now. I'll be taking questions on what you want to know. Basically, so you don't have to see the film. You can ask us what happens in the film, because obviously a lot of people aren't going to see it. And if I wasn't doing this pod, I probably wouldn't see it. I'll say this: there's no way it's not going to be fun to talk about. So please tune in for that. But that's all I have for programming.
Madame Web. But yes, Deadpool and Wolverine. Jake, I want you to give me your first thoughts on this teaser. What were the vibes? How were you feeling when you saw it?
I'm the thing that my first thought was, okay, I'm glad that they're making clear what the general premise is going to be. Like they're not hiding the fact that it is going to be very self-referential and obviously Deadpool's always self-referential, but about the idea of him joining a new universe, because that's obviously like the biggest hurdle it has to clear. Because even though Deadpool is able to step outside the frame and do stuff other comics aren't, it is a kind of a tough sell to be like, this movie exists because one corporation bought another. Like that's kind of a hard thing to do, and I was afraid that they would try to like hide that and be and leave it up in the air of how all this stuff is going to work. But I think it the trailer gives us an idea that that's kind of what it is, but it doesn't spoil any of like the big moments except for the fact that Wolverine's in it, which the title spoiled that at this point.
Exactly. I think the thing for me, more so than anything else, I know that a lot of folks were a little underwhelmed by Multiverse of Madness in terms of the people that we were to see in the
Mm-hmm.
multiverse and certain cameos and characters that they would have liked to see that they didn't get
Mhm.
to see. I feel like this movie is going to scratch all of those itches.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sean Levy is more shameless than Sam Raimi is.
so I think from that standpoint, at the minimum, you'll at least get that. But with that comes, is it going to be just a cameo fest,
Mm,
or is it going to be something a little bit more substantial besides that? I think that's the most interesting thing I'm looking forward to. I know this much is sure. Marvel clearly, with some of the stuff that we saw in the teaser, is not deviating from its multiverse storyline.
no.
We're going to continue this on. We're going head on to Secret Wars. This kind of has the feel and the setup of Deadpool gets handpicked by the Agent Paradox, who's a variant of Agent Mobius,
Mhm.
and so we'll see what Deadpool seems to be recruited to, I guess, a specific team that he will be fighting some other Fox heroes and villains, and I guess we'll see where that goes, and we'll see how Logan Wolverine slash Wolverine fits in. And honestly, it just looks like a grand fun time, and I think that's what you as a fan would want to look for. I know me specifically when it comes to this. Usually, I'm looking at the grand picture,
Mhm.
but I like the idea of combining the grand picture and not taking it as serious and having a lot of
Mm.
fun with it. And just to kind of see how Ryan Reynolds meshes with how Disney wants to do its stuff,
Yeah.
that intrigues me too. I want to see how that works.
Yeah, and I think that it's a good approach to like this is a much better approach of bringing in this big heady multiverse thing than giving it to Ant-Man. And I'm not saying that just as a punchline, but because like multiverse stuff in comics exists because people want to restart stories and different people start writing it, and it's like it is a workaround for the fact that comics have existed for hundreds of 100 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Exactly.
actually a good on its own. It is not a. It's not the way that anyone would tell stories if multiple different artists didn't exist, and in this case of movies, if multiple actors and rights didn't exist. Like you would not if it were not for different rights deals and different reboots, you would never choose to tell superhero stories in a multiverse fashion. Probably, like it's not an elegant way of telling stories. So I think to give what's probably going to be like the most ham-fisted entry in the multiverse saga to a character that makes a point of making fun of when it's ham-fisted is like gonna be cheesy at some points, but I think is much better than trying. Like they're not gonna pretend like it's super elegant to bring in the Fox characters because like that was always the thing that always frustrated me when people suggest like why can't the X-Men just be from another multiverse? I'm like that is so sweaty. You really need to do a lot of work to explain that. And
Yeah.
Deadpool can do that because Deadpool can look at the camera and make a joke about how 21st Century Fox was acquired. I mean, that's it.
Actually, I think the funny thing is regarding that, like that discussion has always been had about how do you bring the X-Men in, and I do kind of like the way that they're sprinkling in
Yeah.
folks like we saw at the end of the Marvels and Miss Marvel being a mutant herself.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of want to see it that way, and then they'll decide to bring in whoever they decide to bring in. That I
Mm-hmm.
think that makes more sense. It's more organic. I feel like if anything, this is a homage to these characters from previous, and showing them some love on their way out the door, and they're
Yeah.
gonna get plenty of homages, and not
Mm-hmm.
just this film but future ones with Kang Dynasty and Secret War. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this is nice that this feels isolated from everything
Mm-hmm.
else, and not just in story, but also in the fact that this is the only movie that's coming out this year. So
Yeah.
there is a little bit more oomph behind it. So
Mm-hmm.
like it feels a little bit more important as we get ready for July and getting ready to see this, and it's very exciting from that standpoint because you want to
Mm-hmm.
see, can the MCU bounce back? Now, of course, I myself am not putting everything
Mm-hmm.
in the basket as far as this movie is concerned to make sure
No.
that the MCU bounces back, because I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
more of a widespread issue that they need to
Mm-hmm.
get back on track and solve. But it's nice to have something that you're intrigued to see. Can they pull it off?
Yeah. And quality aside, it is nice just for a narrative standpoint. As someone who is going to read the stories and the trades about the MCU, it's nice that, like, okay, this is going to be at the very worst a double and possibly a home run financially. Not that that's that super important, but but like, you know,
Just to get back in the green is good.
I want these movies to do well because I want them to continue. And so, like, this feels like, I mean, just look at the reaction on Twitter. Like, it's pretty clear that this movie's going to do much better than,
Oh yeah.
you know. And I will just say as an aside, I don't know about you, but
Talk to
every
me.
single person who in the last couple days was like, I just catch the Marvels on Disney Plus. And why
It's
didn't you guys
nasty
tell me
work.
this was good?
Nasty work. Incredibly nasty work. Incredibly nasty work.
What do you? And I did see someone who, I forget who it was. I apologize, but like I think you retweeted him of, y'all gotta stop listening to people who hate professionally. I mean,
No, I mean, I feel like I've said this a million times, so I'm not going to belabor that
yeah,
point. But as far as, people not seeing the Marvels, this goes back to what you have said in the
yeah,
past about going to see movies, supporting movies. The film industry is a dying industry because
hmm
we're letting it die.
yeah,
We're not supporting it. We're not going out and catching these people, trying to create the different things. And listen, the studios are complicit in their own way,
yeah.
but so are we as people. So,
I mean, the thing I always will just say is that I think people misunderstand. Like, I think people think of like, oh, if I watch it on streaming, that's like me supporting it halfway. No, financially, it's like you supporting it 0.5% of the way. Like, they make so much less money if you watch streaming. So that's not to say that, like, if you don't have the money to that's your prerogative. But I think that one thing that's frustrating is when people are like, well, I'm excited to see it, but I'll catch it on streaming. It's like, but if you're excited to see it and you're waiting to catch it on streaming, you are effectively telling the studios it is not worth spending money on. Anyway.
let me just break this down as simply as I can for maybe somebody. Our audience generally gets this,
Yes.
but just for anybody who might not. So, when it comes to the streaming thing, and if I don't know if you've noticed, but I have noticed
Yeah.
over the past 4 to 5 months how across every streaming service, it seems like they're either trying to partner up and bundle up and charge more and charge more and
Yeah.
charge more. You want to know why that is? The reason why that is because they're not making money.
Yeah. It doesn't make
So
money.
they're
It doesn't make money. Like, think about it. If you pay, how much is Disney Plus right now? I have a family bundle, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's what, like $16 a month or something like that.
because I have the Disney and Hulu thing right now. I took the
Yeah.
ESPN Plus out, so I think it's
Dis-
I
oh,
think it's
it's eight,
18.99 a month.
99 a month.
18.99 a
Okay.
month, right?
So if you watch the Marvels on there, but
Hmm.
then you watch anything else, they're already making way less money. Like, it's anyway, but it's just a little thing. But I think that what's important about that in relation to something like Deadpool 2, which is disappointing, is that, like, it's disappointing that people need a character they've already seen in the lead that they already feel comfortable with in order to be like, oh, I'm really excited for it. And so I'm excited that people are excited for it, but it's like
Hmm.
nothing. Like, this trailer is not objectively better than anything that came out for the Marvels, in my opinion.
I don't
Really,
think
like, the
so.
Marvels seem
No.
like a fun movie, and so I get it on the one hand, but it is also like, especially, it's one thing if it's like, my cousin who doesn't really watch a lot of these things catches it, but people who should know better, who like have seen most other MCU things in theaters, it's like, come on, what are you?
Well, I mean, it reinforces the misogyny
Yeah,
and all of the other things that occur when it comes to women creating things. Anything
yeah,
there's always going to be that type of
yeah.
reaction or non-reaction to it.
Ryan Reynolds joking about getting pegged, get your $25, but women supporting each other doesn't.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about like visuals for this teaser. Like, there wasn't like anything that really stood out. Like, it was cool to see
No.
Pyro
Hmm.
from X2
Yeah.
and X3 come back. That was
Hmm.
that was nice.
I mean,
Kind of like
I'm shocked the actor wasn't busy. That's mean. That's mean. That's mean. Why did I say that?
yeah, so that just gives you like a little inkling of things to come, and I'm sure folks are gonna freak out in the next trailer whenever they decide to show Wolverine in the mask and the
Yeah.
iconic yellow suit
Mhm.
from the animated and comics. So people will be excited
I
for
like
that.
that
But
they kept that though. I like that they didn't show that in the
yeah,
first
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad that they didn't really show Wolverine at all. Like that,
Yeah.
I think this to kind of see, especially with this character they iced
Hmm.
at the end of Logan. and to bring Hugh Jackman back, I'm intrigued to see what he has left, what he has in store for us coming back in this instance. So this movie has a lot of energy behind it. I think it seems like everybody had a really fun time making it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens as we get more teasers and trailers along the way. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. Any final thoughts as we move on?
I mean, the thing about it is it looks okay generally. Like I saw a lot of people like making fun of the way the action looks, and that's fine. I think it doesn't. I'll say this, it doesn't look as good as the first two, just because Sean Levy is not David Leitch or Tim Miller. But the thing about him is, and I've cast aspersions at him, but I'm a noted Free Guy defender, which is probably the opinion that would get me drawn and quartered by film Twitter the most. But I think that what you mentioned of him having a good time is that I'm someone who can feel when a movie people had a good time, and I think that this one, I think you almost need this to be a movie people had a good time on, because if not, then it becomes The Flash. Where if you have a movie that's all about like cameos and people coming back and people don't have a good time, you can tell. You can tell that Michael Shannon is like, think about the beach house you're buying. Think about the beach house you're buying. You know what I mean? And like, I don't want that look on Jennifer Garner's face. I want her to be like, this is really fun. Ryan and Hugh, they're great guys. Sean is a really great director. We're having a lot of fun. I just worked with Sean on the Adam Project. That was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, so that is the vibe you want for this type of movie. You don't, because it is inherently soulless. It is soulless just to throw these characters together. And so you want the people involved to be having fun, because if they're not having fun, then holy shit is a drag.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm just generally excited for the film. Hopefully it breathes some life into the MCU and not only, the fan base and get things back on the right track, but just overall, just have it be a good movie. Because you always want to see a movie like this be good and not stink. So, we'll see what happens with Deadpool and Wolverine. As for us, we will return intermittently as we go along. You can catch us on the Patreon, of course, and we do have a couple of ideas cooked up as far as what to do on the main feed in the meantime. But yes, Jake, where can we follow you, my friend?
You can follow me at the J Christie. Please listen to my other podcast, Love at First Sight, where me and Andre Barrera are watching the USA Network original series Psych.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyCanton_3. Follow the show on all platforms, MC University Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I believe the replay of the table read is still up on twitch.tv.
Hey, go ahead. I'm gonna cut this out. No, I have to take it down tonight because I want to make it behind the paywall for a bit.
Okay, cool. Okay,
yeah.
all right,
so,
all right.
Yeah, take it from the YouTube. No, take it from just the YouTube bit.
Okay, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep getting those subscriber numbers up. Love to see that. And of course, as I said, support the Patreon, patreon.com/MCUniversityPod. And yes, appreciate everybody for listening. Appreciate everybody for supporting. Deadpool and Wolverine, let's get it, baby. For Jake Christie, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.